Well, Josh isn't here again. Well, and so you have me, but thankfully I have a guest. But before that, servers are hard. I hate how servers are hard. Cue the music. Hello everybody, it's me Bigpod, and today, as I already told you, there is no Josh. Why there is no Josh? Oh well, I can't tell you. It's a secret mission. I've sent him to that mission, so we're gonna see how that mission pans out, but in the meantime, we're gonna have some guests. First off, we have Brodie from Robertson YouTube channel. Say hello to Brodie.
Do you want me to do my introduction? What we're doing?
Go.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm Brodie.
So, for those who
I
do
do
not,
I do Linux videos and stuff like that. I have a podcast as well, Tech for Tea. I have a gaming channel. I do gaming stuff there. I have a React channel. I do React stuff there. But most people probably know me from doing my Linux stuff. I look at window managers, look at Wayland stuff, programming things. I am a shill of every single thing that you don't like. So yeah.
really. So,
Yep, I'm both
you
a
should
Wayland
you
and an X11 shill. Depends on who's asking.
okay? So, since you shield things that I don't like, since that you shield macOS.
Look, I'm sure that someone's gonna come up with a reason why it's the case.
Great. So, uh, you know, you every so often you make a video on your YouTube channel about donations for open source. So that's actually one of the topics I want to talk to you about. Uh, why why and how open source should get donations? Why and how?
The how is a much harder problem. The
I know.
why, well, the entire FOSS world basically is run by volunteers. Yes, you have these big companies that exist. Like you have your Red Hats, you have your you have your systems, a lot smaller company, but you have your System 76s, you have your Canonicals, and those exist. Red Hat and Canonical mainly exist through support contracts, System 76 through hardware. But for a lot of the other projects out there, like your KDE, your Curl, your FFmpeg, most of the people working on these projects are volunteers. But volunteers only have so much time they can actually work on a project. If you're a high school student, you're a college student, you can usually afford to, give quite a bit of time to something. But eventually, the point comes along where you need to make the choice. Do I want to go and actually pay my bills, or do I want to do something that generally helps the world? And at some point, you can't really help the world if you don't have your bills paid.
When your time becomes worth a certain amount of money, essentially. When you get a job, then your time gets a specific worth, especially if
Wait,
if you are like in a more contractory work where you work per hour.
it's not even necessarily that, right? Like a lot of people will take way lower paying jobs just so they can work in the FOSS world. But
Yeah,
there is a minimum baseline for what you need to live.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like whether you're willing to take less money for you to have time to work on FOSS. Like
Right, right.
great example, somebody, it's not actually about FOSS, but something similar, like volunteer kind of work where it's all based on donations for him to actually do it. He said, uh, it's either I work 10 hours a day or I work 6 hours a day, but I need to cover that difference.
Right, right.
And like at the end of the day, you have to have like set amount of time you do, because otherwise you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna have major problems. Family will hate you. All sorts of things. And we have major cases where burnout actually caused problems, like the XZ utility XZ
Oh
library.
yeah, XE utils. Yeah, when the main maintainer stepped down, handed off the project to someone else, probably was a state-funded hacker. We're actually not
Yeah,
sure, and then almost, luckily we're caught, almost injected a backdoor into literally every single distro.
yeah, but that didn't happen like overnight. It didn't just that maintainer didn't just uh like allow that
Yeah,
guy
it was.
to
I
be
think they were
there.
around in the project for like 6 months
Yeah,
beforehand, showing
yeah,
off being like a
like,
good contributor.
and even for that contributor to get into that role, the original maintainer had to have certain event happen to him. In this case, it was burnout. He or shall we say they literally couldn't do as much as they used to do,
Mm,
and they had to get a replacement.
mm,
Had to get
mm,
somebody who would write code and like work because they couldn't anymore, like couldn't handle it. And that's a big problem. And
mm.
this is actually where my personal idea of what should happen with open source, and I want to see your opinion of, and this is literally the why, or not the why, the how.
Mm.
A lot of people like do like single project and then and a donate button. I don't think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
right idea. I think small maintainers, small contributors, small small people like whether it be me, you,
Mm,
Josh, I don't know, DT,
mm,
whoever, like we should people like that should band together
mm,
into, shall we call them, foundations, like corporate in like logical entities
mm,
that you can, that is one point that represents all the projects, all the
mm,
people. So that does a lot of work in like giving people safety nets. So for example, if let's say you, me, and Josh did like a foundation together. If let's say you got burned out or you need to step away, you still have two trusted people you can rely on, that your code will be maintained or at least looked after in
mm,
that period of time you're away. Second of all, like the biggest problem is that you have so many projects, and like you need to donate to every single one of them, or at least to some
mm,
subsection of them. Would it be easier if you could donate at one time, donate to a lot of projects you use, or
mm.
like you would like have like three libraries here, four there, like instead of donating to, I don't know, 500 projects, you donate to 10 foundations,
Mm.
that kind of thing. And in third, like a lot of like logic, a lot of like backend stuff we as like people who watch the stuff don't even know about, things like CI/CD bills, things like hosting bills,
Mm.
things like project management and stuff like that are like for us invisible, or even if we see them like social media management, we do
Mm.
not think of them as like heavy burdens.
Mm. Mm.
All that could be like handled by one person, or like by that entity, could be handled by that entity. Therefore, like it could be a lot more commonized between the number of projects that are inside this foundation.
Mm.
But there are problems with this idea.
Well, I think immediately think of three main problems. I don't know where you're going with this. First problem is nobody wants to do managerial roles. This is just a problem that exists entirely in the FOSS world. There's a
Yeah,
lot of developers. There's a lot of people that like writing code. There's not as many people that like doing the other things. There's definitely
project
some,
management,
yeah,
yeah,
project
stuff like that.
management. But
Yeah,
there's people doing like networking stuff, and there's weird people that like that. But like the
yeah,
stuff outside of the tech, it's hard to find people that do. Second
yeah,
problem, second problem is the allocation of funds. So, let's say you had 10 different projects under your banner. How do you allocate funds between those projects?
yeah.
And then third problem is trusting whoever runs the foundation to be honest about the money that they're actually getting and actually distributing, and then also the being honest about how much overhead costs are, because that is a problem that a lot of charities have,
Yeah,
where a lot of them, there's sites out there where you can like check the charitability score. I don't, you know what
yeah,
I'm trying to say, where
yeah,
it's like you see what percentage of the money they have actually goes to their
Charity
charitable
endeavors.
endeavors and how much is going to the overhead managerial costs. Because some charities are basically a scam. Some like
Yeah.
well-known charities that people probably think are doing really good work.
Yeah. For those three problems, actually, some of them I actually have a solution, and at least one of them was one I was going to say the allocation of funds, and leadership in general. Those two things go hand in hand. Like you, that's why I'm talking about like people doing it. Like it's a common leadership essentially. Like group of people that actually trust each other, work together, and yeah, like you have to be open about your fundings and stuff like that. Of course, like that won't like donations won't work if you're not open about where the money goes, and it's a lot easier if people know that it's just these people. They're gonna split the money the way they want to. But if it is like a full corporate structure, like you see in something like GNOME Foundation or Linux Foundation, then yeah, then it is a bit different. And now that I was thinking about it, I actually have another benefit. Like the for enterprises and corporations, it is a lot easier for them to donate to another company than to an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah,
That's
this is
also
actually
a big benefit of
this is a
having.
problem that I've discussed with a lot of maintainers, and this is part of the reason why a lot of them will start up some sort of either non-profit or
Also,
some corporate
at least
structure
have
for
to
their
have a
project.
sole proprietorship or something like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
some
how you call that in
yeah, we have the same
Australia.
thing here. Yeah, we have the sole
Yeah,
proprietor. But like some sort of legal structure that they
yeah,
can
so
give money
sort of
to.
legal entity instead of
Yeah,
just
yeah,
being a
yeah.
physical entity. For example, here, like even if I want to do contractor work, I have to set up a legal entity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not all places have that kind of stringent requirement. So, for example, even if I want to do like YouTube donations and ad revenue, I have to have a legal entity.
You don't have to do so here, but it certainly makes your taxes easier.
Here basically have to, because otherwise they tax you so hard.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
and you have problems in other areas, and like it's a definitely 100 times easier to just have a legal entity that receives that money, despite it being your money in reality. And yeah, like that is good if you're like wanna be an island, like your small island. But what needs to happen is people need to gather on bigger islands together, because then like, and yes, there will be problems. Like there is, controversial. One of the most controversial things is how much money actually goes for Linux from Linux Foundation. That question, which even you dabbled in, like last year or 2 years ago, something like that.
I don't know. It was a while ago. I've talked
A
about this
while ago,
topic.
yeah. Like a lot of people forget that everything that Linux Foundation puts money into it somehow influences Linux. Yes, in most cases, it's not Linux we think about. It's server stuff, is embedded things that actually like their people who donate to them care about, and we have to remember that they just work by how what people who donate to them like, not what some random people on internet want who are very loud.
And see, this sort of like puts an immediate hole in the suggestion you have here, where these projects are under the banner of the Linux Foundation, but
Yeah.
it doesn't actually matter because the money that is being given to the projects is going directly to those projects anyway. So yes, they're under that banner, and the Linux Foundation provides like legal structure and money management stuff like that.
Project management and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But like speaking specifically about funding, the funding is basically a direct path. So
Yeah.
it's not actually
There are
that specific goal isn't
multiple ways the money goes to those projects. Like
sure.
because they're like, you should understand, they're like Linux Foundation is actually a bunch of foundations under a trench coat.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that there is like automotive grade Linux Foundation, which is which is made under Linux Foundation.
Mm,
There is
mm,
CNCF. There is like embedded Linux Foundation or something like that. Like there is many like sub foundations under Linux Foundation, and like how they allocate funds, how the funds go through that is dependent on the on projects, on who the projects belong to, because some of the projects are like owned by the foundation, some of the projects are just supported by the foundation. It's a it's a complex topic that isn't just this is how it goes everywhere. For example, if a project is CNCF incubating, it is still owned by the creator, while
sure,
once
sure.
once it goes, it is likely owned by CNCF. As far as I understand, I probably should ask people who know a lot more than just talk out of my ass. But yeah,
Now, oh, go on.
go on.
I was gonna say, the this still doesn't actually fix the biggest problem that exists with the FOSS funding model. So all of the projects that are in the Linux Foundation, all of these projects that would join a foundation, these are projects which are very visible projects, right? You have your KDEs, you have your automotive grade Linuxes, you have things like this, things which you can see as an entity. But the issue is a lot of the problems with FOSS funding are that lower level things that you
Yeah,
don't really interact with. It's the one library that's maintained by one dude who just happens to work on it as a hobby, and it also happens to be the back end for Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, and all these other companies, and they just
yeah,
don't even acknowledge it exists. Those are the real places where you don't really see the FOSS funding model actually working. The visible
yeah,
projects, they're fine, right? Yeah, like, we can talk about how much money goes to KDE versus GNOME. We can talk about how much money might go to some of these random projects, but the fact that you know these projects exist is already a massive barrier cleared. A lot of the issues are with projects that everybody relies on that you don't even know are a thing. Even developers who rely on these libraries in some cases don't even acknowledge them because it might be a dependency of a dependency.
correct. And that's where actually my my idea comes to play. These small library makers need to band together into in with their friends, with their peers, whether that be maybe uh like the same like in the same field. They need to go together and make a foundation, because that way they will be a lot more visible, because like they will have like, if they have to do marketing, it will be a lot easier for them to do marketing when they market 10 different things at the same time, instead of
Right.
10 separate 10 separate marketing campaigns and stuff like that. Like basically they need to like, that's why they need to band together, because it is, first of all, a lot cheaper. Second of all, like a lot of these don't even have like any kind of major presence on social media, because like even those people don't want to deal with social media. Why would you deal with social media of a project? But if you have a guy or a lady who deals with that for like 10 projects, that isn't a problem anymore. Like in in some ways, while yes, this is a very visible project, of course, since this is a desktop operating system. Look at how Universal Blue does things. It is that model of what you would want, because like it first started as bunch of immutable desktops working separately. Banside was separate, Bluefin was separate, but after a while, because like they joined each other's discords and all that, they started working together, and that's how Universal Blue became a thing. I'm glossing over many details, but like that's the short version of it. And you have a guy that literally does just PM stuff. You have a guy who does leadership and doesn't do any kind of major coding. But more importantly, you also have people you can rely on to review your code, review your contribution. And that's something that would have basically improved any kind of situation. Like the XZ, if there was somebody who would review the code, what the guy was pushing, none of that would be a lot less likely to happen. Because like if somebody actually looked at the code, he would notice something is hinky, something is happening. But when you have one developer, they can push whatever they want into the main branch, and that's what gets built.
You mentioned social media before. There are a few projects out there which do manage to find somebody
Yeah.
interested in doing so. The main issue is people aren't interested in doing so. It's the same problem with any managerial role. Like I think FFmpeg, for example. FFmpeg, they've for better or worse, they have a social media presence. The guy running the social media, has he's gotten into fights with like core maintainers of the project as well. So you can have it certainly causing issues.
Yeah. That is like, people look at it and people will make videos about it, but I don't think that's a good type of advertisement, especially for the kind of project FFmpeg is, which is very much like known project. I understand that if some dinky small project got into it and it was like it got them press, but when it is like something the size of FFmpeg, something the renown of FFmpeg, it is a detriment in my opinion. Compared to...
Well, it worked early on, and then they kind of stuck with the gimmick.
Yeah.
Like the whole, just you shut up, submit patches. Like that got like a lot of viral attention early on, and now that it's worked once, that's basically like the same gimmick that gets repeated over and over again.
Joke can work once. Like telling someone off can work once and can be like used once, even by like major project. But once you go and like you become adversarial in a long term, which is what this is. It's very adversarial. It is gonna be bad thing for you. Like the first time, it's always like can be thought of as an ingest or as a joke. But when it's done like multiple times, it is seen that it will seem as a malicious thing.
Right.
And that's where like that I don't see that as professional. And I do think that a lot of people consider social media as something that shouldn't be professional and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's the glass people look at when they look at your project. Just like your website, just like, well, your public presentations. It is a public presentation. It is the front you put in front of people. So it should be to some level professional. Yes, like going into a Twitter fight once, or like saying to someone, "Go submit a patch," instead of just being a jerk, is like it's okay. It is social media, but when you're constantly adversarial, it just won't look well.
Right.
Because they will see your project as a whole as adversarial, as something to not touch.
Yeah,
It's like the same way if you put on a website a manifesto to I don't know, destroy open source. In your open source project, or destroy free software in an open source project. It's a stupid move. Even if you believe in that, it's a stupid move to do, especially if it's like already a major project. Like what honestly what that one paragraph did to Ex Libre. You remember the paragraph probably. That was then removed, yes, but I think in that, just because it was there for couple of days or whatever amount it was, like a week or so, I believe, it did more damage than they can repair basically through its existence.
Yeah, I've sort of, I don't think I've ever talked about this in a video. I've talked about it on stream before. If we go back and restart that project, the way that I would have handled that was basically would have been, I think a lot of what was written was fine, but it sort of the way it should have been was like I feel like the Xlog project is not progressing. I feel like a lot of the work is not making its way into real releases,
Yeah.
and sort of just don't try to like turn it into some political argument. Just say you feel like the Xlog project is being let to rot, and I
Yeah.
feel like a new leadership is the only way to
The
really breathe life into the project again.
actually thinks about the project, not about the politics
Yeah,
surrounding
yeah,
the
yeah.
project, essentially. Uh,
Yeah, like that edition, like if you want to talk about that, I don't actually care if you want to talk about it, but that shouldn't be like your project, like the front page of your project.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like the glass that people look at you,
Mm,
and that needs to show an air of professionalism so that people
mm,
actually can trust you.
mm.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like and like even if like I understand that if some projects are born out of a joke and they
Mm,
have a joke read me and stuff like that.
mm,
Yeah, like but people will get that because they will see where it came from. But at some point, you will need to remove that and replace it with something professional if it's actually being used long term by, and it's actually ended up being an actual serious project.
mm,
And yeah, it can have a blurb and even maybe an image of what used to be
mm,
as a remembrance. But the thing that people see first that needs to be serious if it's a serious project.
mm, mm.
That kind of thing. Like that's in general like yeah, yeah, open source are hobbies for especially in the desktop space where basically half of the things are hobbies. Very little is actually serious projects and things that are made by companies or things made like long term with a vision from the start. But even if it is a hobby, you need to show yourself properly. At least that's my opinion. I don't know, like everybody should have an opinion about this stuff, but at least mine is that you need to be professional about how we do open source code because another day we are the open source code, every one of us, whether we ever contributed, we represent this. Especially if we talk about it, we represent this movement. But I don't know, like I think in some ways it is all of it is a bit of a joke because most people do not take it really seriously. They still think of it as a something that should be just among people, especially in the more free software world. Just be people like users. There is no real like seriousness to it,
Mm.
like long term seriousness, making it actually sustainable.
Well, I think a lot of people are kind of just terrified of any money being involved in FOSS because they're terrified that it's going to lead to this sort of, I guess, more of a corporate involvement. Obviously, like there are projects with corporate involvement, like the Linux kernel. Pretty much all big projects have that, but I guess there's this concern, and it's probably I don't know. It feels unfounded to me that if people are getting paid in FOSS, then that means that like I don't know, like some proprietary corporate like you've probably heard these sort of arguments. It's hard to
Yeah,
put into words because
yeah,
I don't really agree with it, but I do know there is definitely a lot of people that just generally are afraid of any sort of discussion of money in the FOSS world.
yeah. Like companies doing the work. Like that's a scary thing for some.
Mm-hmm.
But like to me, that's the problem because then it's not sustainable. What's the point of having something be serious, especially
Mm-hmm.
in today's era when it's actually like something we all rely on, the world relies on? It needs to be sustainable. Like what kind of hubbub was with MongoBleed, or
Mm.
before that, uh, the exeutil, or before that, Log4j,
Mm-hmm.
or before that, Heartbleed.
Mm-hmm.
These were all major vulnerabilities that a lot of programs were exposed to.
Left pad.
Also that, yes. But that's the entire, I could say, entirety of Node ecosystem, and I think it would be exactly the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying one of them because the whole thing is horrible. But like the point is where we are building essentially towers out of cards where we're not thinking about the foundation,
Right, right.
how to make it stable. We're just thinking about building more and more and more.
I think some people see it as it's worked so far, therefore why change it now, right? Like we've had this
Yeah,
FOSS world for the past, you can you can define when it actually started, minimum 40 years. We'll just say that. And it's a lot of people just don't want to see it change because, well, there's always been someone that's maintained that low level library. There's always been someone that's
yeah,
done this. There's always been someone that does that. But that doesn't mean that you can't do things better.
yeah. But also, like, resistance to change is a very, very well known thing in the world.
Mhm.
Like, again, Wayland X11 comes to
Mhm.
mind. Like, that is just resistance to change, nothing else.
Um, I don't
In
think
the
that's
most
necessarily the case
cases.
there. I, for a lot of cases, sure. For a lot of things, because a lot of the issues where it's like, oh, I can't capture my desktop. There is a solution for that. Oh,
Sure.
I can't use this X11 to. I can't use Xclip. Well, there's a replacement for that. There are legitimate areas where right now
Yes.
there are still problems. For example, not being able to remotely log in to KDE, for example. If
Really
yeah, that's part. That's gonna be
interesting.
part of their new display manager.
Interesting.
If you want to remote into the desktop on KDE, you need to be logged in first, which
Huh.
is annoying.
Huh.
That's an SDDM problem mostly.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but with their new login manager, it'll be fixed when that comes out. I think sometime this year, maybe next year. Anyway, uh, other things like not being able to remotely accept a screen capture. So if you want to do like this, sort of breaks a lot of
But
automated workflows.
yes, but at the same time, I agree with that. That you shouldn't be able to remotely just access a system and accept a request for a remote desktop.
Mhm.
What's the yeah, sure. If like as many viewers know, I have this remote first setup,
Mhm.
and and it is pain in the ass to egg the request to start first desktop share if I make a new VM with a desktop. It is a pain in the ass, but it but that is mostly because, well, security.
Mhm.
Sorry, but reality is some little bits of comfort will need to be taken away in today's world of cyber threats lurking around every corner. This is anymore 1990s, 1980s
Yes,
when
this is
X11 was
true.
created.
This is true, but the difference is that there are secure solutions to this on Windows and macOS. That's the problem that exists with Wayland. It is
Well,
there are use cases that are not, most use cases are fine, but there are use cases right now where Wayland does not solve the problem. So yes, like a lot of it is sort of not wanting to change. Most of the people complaining are not wanting to change. But there are these very few edge cases where legitimately you cannot move over because
yes,
use cases that are available in other systems are not yet available.
there will always be something. Remember, this isn't just something that can do a lift and shift. This is a new thing. So things will change, and that is okay.
Yeah, no, things will change, but there are areas where that use case should still be possible. Of course, things are going to change, and you should do it in a better way.
Yes,
But
and
when you can't, at the end of the day, when you can't do the thing you want to do, like, it doesn't matter if the argument is that we're making something more secure, we're trying to do this, trying to do that. There comes a point where it's like, I can't work.
well, yes, like let's be clear. Like for most people, security is something that is just beside the point. For me, it's the feature number one in everything.
For
If it
most
doesn't
people,
become,
security is theater. They are
yeah,
they care about security in some locations and then leave the door open and just let everything walk in through the other path.
for me, security is a feature. Right?
Mhm.
I know people know that already, and but really, security really is a feature for me.
Mhm.
It's not something that just happens to be there or that must be there. It's the thing that I like. I will pick something if I have two
Mhm.
things and one is more secure. I'll pick the more secure thing
Mhm.
10 out of 10 times because that is important.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, that sometimes inconveniences me. Sure, but there are always solutions. Like for example, for remote access to allow remote access, you should have an out of band system to accept
Mhm.
the like for example like Sunshine. You open a browser and you log into that and enter
Mhm.
the code. That's an
Mhm.
out of
Mhm.
band solution. It isn't the same system. It is a separate system that you go through to
Mhm.
act the request of become allowing access to the system. Should something like that be implemented for Wayland? Maybe,
Mhm.
but that you need to think about out of band solutions. And yes, Wayland should think about an out of band solution for some of its like accepting problems. But do I think we should have a system that goes around portals and like that kind of security stuff that's actually happening on the desktop? No.
At the end of the day, it's not a matter of whether you want it or whether you don't want it. It's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen because people want things to work the way they want it to work. So we can talk about security all day, how things should be done. Doesn't matter. That we don't live in a
Yeah.
magical fantasy world where security is the thing everyone cares about. People are going to get things to work whether they should or shouldn't.
True. Uh, like and like another one that like people, in my opinion, are more or less afraid of change is the system D debate.
No one cares about that. There's like 5 people that
Yeah,
care about it.
these days, but used to be a lot more. But all the things that those people point to are just things they don't want to change, even
Mm-hmm.
though questionably they are better. Like, and of course the hate of the creator. That's also a big
Mm-hmm.
thing. In my opinion, Leonard Pottering is is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly is not American. By
Mm-hmm.
you can see that by his the way he talks. Well, you can
Mm-hmm.
see that by the way he clearly is more more direct. All that like, oh, Linus is the same way. I am direct. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the way we do things in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and people hate him for that. At the same time, they like Linus for that,
Mm-hmm.
and they hate Leonard for what he created because, again, they didn't want things to change, despite those things getting things to better. Well, honestly, yes, I do think that System D does too many things. Do I think that we should break System D up? Probably there should be alternatives to it, like for the things it does.
Well, the thing with System D is you can slot in other components. The reason why
Yes,
no one does is
because
no
System
one's
D
made them.
does it well enough.
Yeah.
And like that's the problem. Like there should always be, and I'm not saying it from any kind of like hate system, the hate position. I'm saying it from the competition perspective. There should always be a competitor to it. Not for people to use, but just so it actually forces the incumbent forward. That's why I still think X11 should exist, or whatever name there will be, or like or some other display server solution. It should always be there. But Wayland should be the default, at least right now, because it is clearly what people want.
For most
Or
people at this point, it is the default. A lot of people will argue
yes,
with me about these numbers. So on Arch Linux, there are package stats for installs.
Yeah.
And a few months back, in Plasma, they split out the X11 from the regular Plasma package. So now if you want to have the X11 session, you have to actually go and install that. Now, on Arch, they didn't auto-install that. So this gives us a very interesting data point, because this tells us how many people went out of their way to install X11 back on their system. And it works out to be about 20% of Plasma users.
yeah, makes sense, because defaults are the king. You need to remember that most people don't care about something like that unless it either bothers them or they are militant about it. Well, in my opinion, defaults are the only thing that matters. I haven't changed the wallpaper in 10 years. What's the default, that remains on my desktop.
I am currently running the Windows XP Rolling Hills wallpaper.
Wow.
Been running that for the past couple of months.
I don't even bother with that stuff. That to me is just so inconsequential on what the desktop wallpaper is that I don't care. I might change the accent color when I first set up the system. I change, let's say, on GNOME you have like multiple color options. I might go with
Right.
I might pick a random color because I'm already on that screen. I just click it, and of course I do select dark mode because it is easier on my eyes. But otherwise I won't go and like edit stuff and like
Right.
go deep, because it doesn't matter for my productivity.
Sure.
But then again, I'm also all about that immutable distro. Once again, running Bluefin, my custom build of it. But yeah, I installed some additional packages, which I want/need. So I can delete everything on my system and reinstall, and I'll be just fine. Well, that is also very important. Be like, what's your opinion on the immutable distros? This we're already talking about them.
I run Arch, as most people
course.
probably know. I use Arch. I'm going to keep using Arch, no matter what people say to me. No, a certain Fedora contributor who wants me to use Fedora, I'm not going to use Fedora. As for immutable systems, I generally think they're pretty interesting from a technical perspective. I'm curious about the different models that are being worked on, but at the same time, I like having the power to break my system. For me, the fact that I can do something and something's gonna go wrong, for what I do, it makes the most sense. Now, if I was to go and set up a media PC, if I was to go set up a dedicated gaming machine, if I was to, even if I was just to have a secondary machine that was a laptop, that would probably be running, if not an immutable system, something like Fedora. I run Arch because Arch is content. If I want something where I didn't really need to care about it, especially for a gaming machine, I probably would just run Bazite because I don't want to think about it. Or a media PC.
So what I'm hearing from you is
Hmm.
that it all depends on what the task is for the computer.
Well, I wouldn't recommend most people to go and use something like Arch. I like if it's
Thanks.
specifically for
Good.
the fact that things going wrong is content. For a
Yeah.
regular person who doesn't make videos about what they do on their system, I would probably put them on something, especially for someone who, if you have no interest in learning Linux, like learning how to like pull things apart, I think you're gonna probably have a better experience on something like Bazide. Now, obviously, you can get in, or like a Bluefin or something like that. Now, obviously, you can get it, like you can go into the back end of that, generate your own custom images, do all that stuff. But most people are not going to be doing that, right? So if you want to like start doing your own deployments, sure, cool, go do that. But just for like a regular person who like if you live in a web browser, I don't really see any reason to not put you on something like Bluefin.
Okay. Now I have a second question for you.
Ah,
If somebody made an immutable image of Arch,
it's called
would you
SteamOS.
not SteamOS? I'm talking like actual like for everyday machines that anybody can run easily. Would you run it? I don't
I
know,
would
at least
test it.
for some time. Would you run it, like test it?
I I would test it, but it's the same reason why I don't run Manjaro, right? Like my system is so hyper customized to what I specifically do. I run software that no sensible person should ever go and run. My configs are laid out in a very specific way for this software. I don't like, okay, when I go and use something like Plasma, I don't use the launcher built into it. I bring my own launcher along. I bring Toffee along with me. I have my setup and I'm going to use my setup. If I was to use something immutable, I would have to be doing it on the image generation side. Otherwise, there's no point for me
So you would need a
because I want my system
custom
to be
build.
like my system.
So you'd want a custom build.
Yeah, I would have to go all in with it if I was going to do it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Well, like I'm gonna say my why I use immutable systems.
Hmm.
The answer is actually pretty simple. I don't want my desktop to break. I don't want my in this case the device I use is a laptop. I don't want it to break. Yes, I can nuke and pave at any point. I don't have a problem with that because everything storage, everything is remote,
Mhm.
and everything, literally everything is remote.
Mhm.
But well, I got used to. I used to work on my main laptop.
Mm.
That meant any kind of downtime is a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
If even if it's half an hour, the system broke for whatever stupid reason. That's a half an hour I cannot work. It's half an hour
Sure.
lost of productivity. And at the same time, I'm not interested in fixing my laptop's desktop OS. That
Mm.
isn't interesting to me. What is interesting to me is deploying servers, building that software, discovering how to configure some piece of server software so it can actually suit whatever needs I have, deploy it at like a scale. I like those kind of challenges.
Mhm. Mhm.
Somebody else might like something else, yes, but for me, like everything I wanna do with computers is probably gonna live somewhere remote, and
Mhm.
I'll play with that. That's why I have a bunch of servers
Mhm.
here and in cloud because that's what I do. And at that point, yes, I want my system to work no matter what happens.
Mhm.
Because if it doesn't, I cannot do what I want to do.
Sure, sure.
It's the same reason I don't play games on Linux
Mhm.
at the end of the day. When I want to play a game, I want to play a game. I don't want to
Sure.
I don't want to jerk around with my with the configuration files for Wine or Proton, what version of Proton will work today with the
Mhm.
game. I don't care about that stuff. That stuff, like that is just something that gets in my way to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people will not get that point because I've had to explain to some people already because it's still playing, it's still working on a computer. You should still enjoy it. Yeah, problem is that the desktop OS is just means to an end for me.
Right, right.
If I didn't have to have an OS on my laptop, if I could just run like a portal to remote operating system in a server, I
Mm-hmm.
would be just fine with it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I do like that I have some resources local, like an editor, like a terminal emulator, like browser.
Mm-hmm.
I think those things, and like in a remote protocol, remote desktop protocol viewer, all
Mm-hmm.
those things should be local. Those are access portals.
Sure, sure.
But anything else, I don't run locally. I run somewhere else in the cloud where I can, or on my local cloud, or my private cloud, or in public cloud, where I can easily reprovision it. And that
Mm-hmm.
stuff actually is interesting to me. I like setting up provisioning. I like setting up, whether it be software-defined solution to get it running.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't get that. Like it's like anything. Like certain things you care about. Certain things are just tools to get to a specific end.
Mm-hmm.
So they're different. It's a good thing that different tools exist. That it isn't just traditional desktops, which sometimes break out of very magical things we don't understand because it's very likely the break itself doesn't understand why it broke.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's good that we also have like immutable distros and very stable distros, things that will not break at a moment notice for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's that's at least my philosophy. You should have your own. Like everybody should have its own. Like it's been a joke of the show that I've been trying to get Josh to switch to Fedora Silverblue based image for a long time.
What is it running right now?
I think it's Arch. Or
Oh.
or could be something else already. He probably broke Arch at least 3 times by now. He probably ran Debian in between and Fedora, and it's probably installed Gentoo for a couple of days and then went to something else again.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep up with what he uses on desktop. Maybe he'll settle down a bit now and he has other things to do that are important actually.
Mm-hmm.
How many times we have problems getting to record because his setup changes from week to week?
You mentioned reprovisioning in there. I can't think of anything I would like to do less than manage a server, manage reprovisioning. That is one of those areas that I am more than happy to never. I will deal with the smallest possible amount I have to deal with.
Yeah. See, on the other hand, I, I can be SSH'd into servers all day and be happy about it. Like, dink around with Terraform, Ansible, Docker
Mhm.
files, Kubernetes. That's all the kind of stuff that interests me. Like, only operating system I actually like to reinstall, like for like testing, like stuff like that. That like I will care about like what operating system is this
Mhm.
is the server operating system that runs virtual machines because
Uh-huh.
that's interesting to me. Currently, I am on XCPNG, and I'm probably gonna stay there for quite a while because
Mhm.
it is everything I want.
Mhm. Mhm.
But there is a future, especially once I have more servers, that
Mhm.
I'll be switching over to, and it's already just thinking about it makes me sad because I know how much work it is. I
Mhm.
wanna one day run an OpenStack system.
Mhm.
That thing is complex. That thing is like extremely complex. Installation is like I tried installing it in VMs multiple times, failed every time. So that you can guess how it's very, very complex. Installation isn't just deploy this image, deploy this image, deploy this image, or deploy this ISO and you're done. No, no, no. It's bunch of packages, this bit, this bit, this bit. But it is still interesting to me because it's something that makes me interested. It's interesting to me. It's like I don't know. I build a Kubernetes cluster. If something fails, like right away, I didn't provision it correctly. I'll be completely happy restarting and doing it again, fixing, learning and fixing the mistake I did initially.
No. No. I have always been way more interested in like local programming. That's been the area where like I don't do as much as I would like. One thing I do want to start doing when I get some time, when I stop more like when I stop being lazy, is play around with Raylib, which is like a game programming library.
Yeah.
That's always been my area of interest. I don't want anything to do with networks and servers. No, no. That's too many. No. That's someone else's problem.
Well, when I program, the one thing I really like doing, despite sucking at it, is multi-threading and distributed computing. Those are the things that I really enjoy, like
I'm sure
programming,
that
like thinking
I'm sure
of
that doesn't
that
produce
problem.
any problems.
Produces a lot of problems, and it's hard to fix. But like the actual like problem space is very interesting to me. That's like the problem space of multi-threading, of thinking about how to split the issue, split the thing you're doing into multiple threads, making it run faster in reality, and like how to then run that on 10, 50, 100 machines. That kind of problem space is very interesting to me. I like solving it. Do I do a good job solving it? My programs say no, but I like trying. One day I'll figure it out. So, what do you do outside of Linux desktop, beyond just Linux desktop and your YouTube videos?
In what way? Outside of my computer or outside of just the content?
Outside just content, outside of like that, outside of that, like sure you do probably do other things on your computer than just Linux and content related stuff. And I'm sure you do other stuff outside of a computer.
Well, lately, honestly, most of my free time is just video games and anime. Like as I said, I do want to program more. It's just I'm lazy. So I've been playing through the Trails series. It's very good. Everyone should play it. Basically, no one even knows the series exists. I recently, outside of the house, I've been putting on a bit of weight, so I've recently started going for walks again. I need to get back to the gym. I used to really enjoy it. I used to enjoy going to the sauna afterwards every day as well. It's just, again, I got sick at one point, and then I got lazy, and then I stopped going. This is just the story of my life. I was doing something, I really enjoyed it. I got lazy and stopped doing it.
One question:
Yeah.
Isn't when you uh, walk outside already sauna in your part of the world?
Yesterday was 45, so you know.
In what letter?
C. What is that in American? Let's find out for
Don't
the
ask
American.
me. I don't know. I only deal with real world.
113. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I I burn at 40.
Uh-huh.
I can deal with more than 40.
So here's the thing about Australian heat. This is something a lot of people don't know about, and why Australia is actually so much worse than people realize. We have a hole in the ozone layer above Australia.
Oh
And
yeah.
this is if you look up the the countries with the highest cancer rates, we're usually near the top, and that's primarily for skin cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. It also doesn't help that a lot of you spend proportionately quite a bit of time outside on
Mm.
like really like in like really short sleeves, sun beating down on you.
I was driving home from the shops yesterday. There was a guy going for a run at like midday, max heat, shirtless.
Oh yeah. It also probably doesn't help that most populated areas in Australia are next to the sea.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah.
like the more oppressive it becomes an oppressive heat because of that.
Hmm.
Like for me, just heat itself is a problem. I don't know how I would deal with that kind of heat.
It's
I
usually a pretty dry heat where I am. If you wanna really die, go to Queensland. Queensland is basically, especially when you go further north, it's just really, really tropical. If you
oh
like, if you like 40 degrees and 90% humidity,
yeah. One of these days, I wish I'll have enough money that
hmm
I can that I can take a flotation device, whatever thing to lay on, and
uh-huh.
I'll have enough money to be willing to take a laptop and put it on my actual body
Oh
while
yeah,
in
no, those people are
water.
crazy. Yeah, I don't know why they do that.
I wish I would have enough money to actually do that. I don't have
Mm,
enough money for that. I think that would be perfect because I'll actually be cold and be able to do work.
mm, mm.
That would be perfect for me. Now I actually take during summer I take breaks for like an hour every like couple of hours to just go and dip into the pool for like 40 minutes to like cool off because otherwise, especially in this room, I just cook.
Mhm.
And then comes 8 p.m. and I sit on a bicycle and it's still hot and I go with cycle.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's also a thing. But it's a lot easier to deal with heat when you're on a moving thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but now to return back into your chair, what do you think of AI?
This is a tough question because
Okay,
it
let me correct myself because
okay.
yes, AI is a very broad field. We're not just talking
Yeah.
about. What do you think of what we currently term AI? So I mean LLMs
Sure.
and generative AI, which includes image generation and stuff like that.
Sure. Right, because
The
what I was gonna
current AI,
say,
generative AI.
is we've had machine learning systems for chess, for example, which have outperformed humans since about 30 years ago,
Yeah,
and people in like people in the chess space kind of like them because it produces a way to learn chess better than a person is ever
yeah,
like the level of a chess player now, the average level is much higher than it used to be just because you can play against a partner that is vastly better than you're ever going to be
yeah,
constantly all day. And then obviously you have medical field, and this sort of goes into the modern usage as well. There is a lot of the good usage of these tools comes in like the medical field where you're seeing early cancer diagnosis vastly earlier than anyone's ever possibly going to do. And this,
yeah,
the earlier you diagnose cancer, the better it's going to be. Like that's
yep,
just basic fact. I'm sure it's being used for other diagnoses as well in that as well. But when we're seeing the main usage we're seeing is sort of this overall replacement of human labor. Now, different people are using these tools in different ways. When you're looking at it from the consumer side, a lot of people don't really care about the artistic endeavor or the programming endeavor to produce something. So you'll see people
Yeah.
like generate some art, generate some code, and like, wow, this is 90% of what I want. And yeah, if you're an artist, if you're a programmer, you look at it, you're like, wow, there's a bunch of security holes there. Wow, that art looks terrible. But for a lot of people, they didn't pay for it. They paid whatever the small token amount was, and now they have something. I can understand why for a lot of people, looking at this, it's like, this is going to massively, and already has massively disrupted a lot of, especially at contract work. But from the developer side, from the actual creator side, there's this sort of mix as well. You have some people who want to only do things in the way we did things before, but you're also seeing people that are actually integrating these tools into their workflows and in many ways actually speeding up their work as well. I don't necessarily think either way is wrong, because like if you look at it like this, right? There are people who still sew by hand, but there are sewing machines that exist. And I'm sure, like, actually, a great example of this is the printing press, actually. The printing press, a lot of people assume that a lot of what was produced when the printing press was first created was, like, literature, amazing pieces of writing. Wow, you can mass print the Bible now. And that's true. That is what happened. But a lot of people don't realize that when the printing press was first created, the most popular, not most popular as in sold, but most popular as in created books at the time were how to identify a witch. So every time we have some new tech that comes along that makes something considerably easier, you're going to see tons of garbage created with it until sort of the gimmick. The gimmick,
bubble burst.
Yeah, the gimmick runs out, the bubble bursts. The difference with AI, though, is when you're writing a book on how to identify a witch, you still had to write a book on how to identify a witch. Now the level of work you need to put in to produce that piece of media, that work, whatever it is, you know, some AI brain rot thing, is basically like however long it takes you to think of a prompt and type it. So you're seeing this massive flood of work from these tools, and this has given a lot of people a really bad perception, let alone you go into the less than true sort of opinions that exist on resource usage. That's a whole nother topic. I think what we're looking at right now, it's going to be very similar to what happened with the dot-com bubble, where the internet didn't go away. The internet's still here. It's bigger than ever. But when the bubble burst, you saw a lot of these companies which didn't really have any value basically disappear overnight. Even companies like Amazon. Amazon lost like 90% of its value pretty much overnight. But they had a real business and they sort of bounced back from that. A lot of these other places where it was like thing.com and now thing.ai, most of that's going to go away. And most of this just injecting it into every single aspect of our life is going to go away because right now the tech isn't there. Where we're going to be in about 10 years, though, I don't know. That's sort of like the big question, because a lot of people will say, oh, we are seeing the tech level out. But I don't know how true that is, and how true that is on a theoretical level. Is there a different approach to these problems where this sort of peak we're seeing isn't actually a peak, it's a local peak, and we just haven't seen the next rise yet?
Yeah, and just to make sure that people know, both of us saw the dot-com bubble burst. Like
I
with
was
our
a
own
little bit too young to really see that, but I've gone back to that.
I'm making fun of our age, not us. We're basically the same age. There is no way
I had no idea how old you were actually.
there is no way either of us. Both of us were alive at that point. We just weren't
Sure.
cognizant enough to understand what the hell was happening.
I didn't have well, not even that. I didn't have an internet connection at home till like
Yeah,
2006. So
neither had I. For me, it was like right after dot-com bubble burst. Like same, basically same.
Mhm,
Oh,
mhm,
for me, it was like actually later than that.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
It's an amazing story that I won't tell. Uh, and I had another question, which I right
Mm,
now forgot, but I'm gonna ask another question.
okay.
Do you wipe code?
And I've tried it out early on just to see what it would do. Not really. No. Like as I said before, I've been too lazy to code to begin with. No, I enjoy I I enjoy the process of programming.
Yeah,
Like I don't just program to achieve a thing. And look, maybe if I needed something very simple, sure, maybe, I don't know, but for any sort of remotely complicated task, I enjoy the process of breaking it down. I don't just want to see the result. It's the same thing with, like, as I was saying before, like, there are people that still, stitch by hand, even though
yeah.
like the sewing machines
Well,
exist, or
the,
there are people that do woodworking, even though you can go to IKEA and buy a table. You don't need to make a table. There's cheap tables there, but a lot of people enjoy the endeavor, not just the final result. And I'm
yeah.
kind of the same with programming.
If you
I'm
know
not the
words,
same with transcribing my videos though. I do generate subtitles for those and then write those by hand because I have
okay,
no interest in transcribing a video.
okay, yeah. Like I, I can at this point say I am a wipe coder.
Hmm.
I use AI to do basically skeleton things
Hmm.
that I've done a billion times and I have to do a billion times more,
Right, right.
and I just don't care anymore to write it. I used to have billion and one snippet and search through them and then apply them.
Hmm.
Now I just write to AI, please give me this snippet, and it
Hmm.
throws it on the screen and I just copy paste it in.
Hmm.
But like as always, I'm gonna say this. If you use AI to write code, if you do not understand the code, same idea as with Stack Overflow applies. Do not use it
Hmm.
if you do not understand it. People do not follow that sage piece of advice,
Hmm.
but oh
Hmm.
well. I still haven't remembered what I want to ask you, which is amazing. But so, do you have any questions for me or any
Uh,
topics?
I, I, I don't know. I wasn't really asked to prepare anything. I didn't really think of anything beforehand.
Okay, good choice. So, oh, what do you think about the whole RAM apocalypse, RAM, RAM pricing going up and away at such a high degree?
Where are we at right now? Let me find out. Because
I believe I heard number of 500% increase.
let me find Australian prices. Okay, so $2,000 for 64 gigabytes. Oh my god. Yep.
Yep,
Okay. Um.
yep,
So a lot of people know that I built a new system recently. I
yeah,
have 64 gigs of RAM. I didn't pay $2,000. My housemate, he bought 4 sticks of 32 about 7 months ago before the prices went up. His system was just never stable with 4 sticks, and he never returned them. So I got two free sticks of RAM,
yeah,
which is very nice. Um, a lot of people are sort of underestimating how bad this is. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, this only matters to consumer systems." Like, no, 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 no. That's not how this works. Firstly, the RAM that's being allocated is going directly to AI companies, so they're fine for now.
yeah,
But everything else is a problem. It's going to affect consumer systems. It's obviously already affected if you're building your own. It's slowly branched out to the PC builders because a lot of them had stock left over.
Yeah.
Framework recently raised their prices a couple of weeks ago. Now Apple prices are actually like normal pricing, which is crazy. This is probably
Yeah.
the one good thing to come out of this. Apple is now not overpriced because of the
Yeah.
RAM price increase. But a lot of people forget that everything else uses RAM as well. I would expect this to trickle into other devices like cars. Obviously not to the same extent because the cost of the RAM to the cost of the car is a lot smaller. But phones, you're probably going to see some sort of effect on it. Honestly, I'm surprised companies haven't used this as an excuse to raise up like subscription costs. But every little thing in your life has a computer in it in some way. This is
And
kind
a
of like
lot of things
RAM
have
price going
NAND
up is kind
and DRAM chips. And a lot of things have RAM and DRAM.
yeah. RAM price
NAND
going up
chips.
is kind of like oil going up.
Yeah.
If oil goes up, the cost of fuel goes up, the cost of plastic goes up, the cost
The
of
cost of
everything
transportation.
goes up.
Yeah. It is an essential part. Just like that's like DRAM and NAND are essential parts. And
The other thing is the companies that produce DRAM also produce RAM for the GPUs, and they also produce flash storage. So
yeah, NAND. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
That's all. And it for the most part shares the same production line, which
yeah.
means yeah. And I just read an article that says that Kioxia, one of the major manufacturers specifically of flash storage, of NAND chips, said that its production capacity, so what they can produce in this year, has already been sold out. So
Right.
and as far as I know, they only make their own SSDs and they sell some small amount of
Yeah,
flash
yeah.
chips to others. But think about it, that the fact that there is so many SSDs being ordered, that one of the biggest producers of NAND flash is basically slammed for the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you basically everything you need to know. On the other
Yeah.
hand, also that like 50% of capacity for I don't know how much time for DRAM chips, or in this case, uh, G, one type of RAM
Yeah, yeah.
is used by a single company,
Yeah.
OpenAI.
OpenAI purchased 50% of the allocation, which is
for the
firstly,
I believe next to this year and next year, which is
yeah, which
insane.
I don't know how much money that is, but the
A
answer's a
lot.
lot.
Yes, and reportedly, they're slowly going bust.
Well,
At
that's
least
the
from what
thing.
I read.
That's the
But
thing,
who
though.
knows?
If the ship starts sinking, they do have that massive asset that they can unload.
Yes, they can sell that capacity for the chips, for RAM, for GPU RAM, to Nvidia, to Kingston, to whoever. And then on top of that, they have that massive space and massive amount of servers they can sell off.
Yeah, yeah.
But will that actually help them?
I
Because
don't
then
know.
they won't be able to make so much money, which will just fasten their going bust. But let's not talk about that because we're not financial people. So, but are you afraid that that the RAM pricing going up will affect you soon in the future?
As I said, I recently built a new system, so I'm kind of good for a while, assuming nothing breaks. The issue that I see, though, is the same thing with COVID pricing, where GPUs went up, but they never came back down to where they were. And this is what's going to happen with RAM. RAM's gone up, it's never going back to where it was. It will come down eventually, right? Like, it's not going to be $2,000 to buy 64 gigs of RAM, but it's not going back to, I think my housemate paid 600 for it. That's never happening again.
Right after COVID pricing, so this was DDR4 still, before the 12th gen Intel came out. So just as a relevant, so you know when that was. I bought 64 gigs of RAM. I believe it was like 400
Yeah.
euros. So DDR4, yes, it's gonna be less at the time less expensive than DDR5 is right now. Was if things were normal right now.
Right, right.
But yeah, like prices are going crazy, and this will lead us to our next topic, for which I am supposed to make a jingle and something, or say something, but I haven't yet. It goes to our section, our podcast section called Valve Watch. So at this point, if I manage to make it, you're gonna hear a jingle. If not, you're gonna hear me say this. Well, I haven't talked to you about the three new devices from Valve. What do you think about them, and do you actually foresee them being released in the near future that they were supposedly supposed to be released? With the
That
whole
is, and this is
pricing
why I
of
think they were
RAM
so.
pricing and all that.
Yeah, I think this is why they're so like, we're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why the Steam controller won't be out anytime soon. Right?
Yeah.
It's a controller.
Yeah, but
what
I
it's gonna be
think they
priced at?
wanna release it at the same time as
Yeah,
others. Like,
yeah.
in some at the same time, like as a one big launch. So that
Yeah. What does the Steam machine have RAM wise? I don't
I believe
remember.
altogether, I believe it's like 24 gigabytes split
Yeah,
between
16 DDR5.
GDDR and DDR.
Yeah. I'm concerned less about them getting it out and more about capacity. Because
Yeah.
16, like, you can still get 64 gig modules. I don't know how much capacity they have with 16, because that's kind of like not even part of the discussion right now for DRAM production.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about the price, and I'm worried about how much they're going to be able to sell, because the Steam Deck also had production problems because that came out like on the tail end of COVID.
Yeah.
The Steam Frame, I just don't know enough about VR to really comment on, right? I'm not in that space. I don't have a VR headset. I just don't really know what to say about that.
Well, when it was released, everybody was guessing prices of the Steam machine. Did you
Yeah,
have a guess?
600 USD, 500 USD.
So that were your guesses.
No,
Or-
that's where people were guessing.
But what about you? What did you guess?
I would have liked it to be like that, but I will be surprised at this point if we see sub 1,000.
So before the whole RAM apocalypse, I was of opinion 700 minimum. That's or 699.
Yeah.
Remember that, like one down from the round number. But in my opinion, it was 700 minimum. Most likely price 1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
That is like nice number, like, or 999 is a nice number. It is what they talked about. They always said it's not gonna be priced as a console competitor. It's gonna be priced as a competitor to equally powerful computer. And if you go with the closest hardware available, 700, about 700 was the price where I live, which already has a bit higher prices than like US or even Germany. But on the other hand, I think it's gonna be more expensive than that, because at the end of the day, there are other expenses, not just hardware cost.
Yeah.
like people forget, and I see that with a lot of people, forgetting that another piece of thing that is people labor, it's like cost of transport and stuff like that. Those are
Mhm,
all and cost of just holding inventory.
mhm, mhm,
Those are very important things you need to actually account for.
mhm. Yeah, Valve does all of that stuff like in house, so I don't know how much. Like,
Well, they
you know,
still
if
cost.
you have third party partners and stuff, obviously pricing is gonna be different. I don't
Yeah.
know what Valve's overhead is to sell
Well,
one of
at
these
the end of the
machines.
day, if you have a bunch of machines to make, you need warehouse that
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
cooling, that needs whatever. You have you have to like have people to do that stuff.
Hmm.
You still have all the same costs. They just aren't rolled up in nice one line number. They're in a lot of like small bits that you need to take care of that are like production costs. And there is also the cost of warranty at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Let's not forget that they're not gonna be they're gonna get the hardware $699. That's why they sell you. Hardware cost, let's say for them 400, 500. Yeah, but what if your piece of hardware breaks? They're not
Hmm.
gonna just swallow that 500 loss they had.
Hmm.
They're gonna go and they're gonna pad their pricing in such a way that they still make they still the loss isn't as hard if
Right,
even
right.
let's say a 10 devices break and they have to replace all of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the part that people think seem to forget when they talk about pricing. And yes, let's be clear, consoles are priced below their actual even production number,
Yeah,
but that
yeah.
is because they actually have control over and they have control over uh, what games they sell, how they sell them, and more importantly, you need to buy new games if you
Hmm.
have a new system. You cannot just go and run the same games you ran on your PS4,
My
like the same
PS5 is
disc.
basically a PS4 emulator. I pretty
Exactly.
much just play PS4 games on it.
Yes, but you still have to buy them anew.
No, the PS4 games work on the PS5.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so at least something Sony did right.
not PS3, but PS4 do.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm trying to say. That like a lot of games you have to again buy new, even
Sure, sure.
despite already like be existing on
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
older
yeah.
generation, and that brings in a lot of money. Or but for Steam or Valve, that doesn't make sense because a lot of us already bring our own libraries,
Hmm.
sometimes with hundreds of games. We already paid that.
Hmm.
We're not going to be paying them again. And at the same time, they need to also account for idiots like me who would take hundreds of these boxes
Hmm.
and kit out an entire office with them, or
Yeah.
open the door and make a supercomputer out of them.
I really do expect one device per account. I will be
I
very, and it will probably be a one device per account that has purchases on it.
I don't think that will happen because like even then like someone might want two, three devices
Someone
for
might,
home, like for
like,
actual playing game. Like I if I was buying one, which at current reality I probably won't be, despite planning to buy one.
mm,
I probably at least not now.
mm,
Maybe in a year when circumstances change,
mm,
when I'll have a TV, I'll probably still buy it.
mm,
Just not buy it before, but at the same time, it is a nice little like client device.
mm, mm,
It will be fairly priced, have the right hardware
mm, mm,
for you to for exactly what I do. That's the kind of thing. That's what I was envisioning for this. And for me, it makes sense to buy two or
mm,
three.
mm,
One for my office, one for my living room, and one for I don't know my other office, or just as a backup. But I just so it doesn't make sense for them to lock it to one device, but I envision them maybe locking to like 5 devices, and yeah, like somebody might buy one just for like their spouse because it's a nice device. Maybe she doesn't have a Steam account, but she still plays games on your Steam account when you're not available, but you want to have a separate computer for other reasons, because at the end of the day it is a computer. So I don't see them like just going and locking it to one device, but like 5, 10 devices, device purchases.
If there's no way it's gonna be 10. No world, it's 10.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe
But like,
I could see
ballpark.
3.
In that ballpark, my guess is like 5, like on a really high end 10, but like in that ballpark of 5 devices, which like is like somewhat of a reasonable number for a person to buy if they're, or let's say for example they have a weekend home. They will want to have a box there.
Sure.
Or 2 boxes there, one for their weekend living room and one for the weekend place, like that office or something. They, let's say, go there like over a weekend, or just go there for like a couple of days to have a computers there. It would make sense for them to have option of buying more than just 1 or 3, but I don't see them going much beyond 5, with again 10 being the maximum overkill high bound. Well, on the other hand, I have no idea what to do with a controller. I don't use controllers. I hate controllers. So yeah,
I pretty much exclusively game on a controller.
I can't use a controller. I hate them. Keyboard, mouse, that's the way to play games. Sorry. Wow.
Pretty much
So
the only game I play on controller is Path of Exile or randomly Marvel Rivals. Anything else, no.
I think we've been going on for quite a while now.
Yeah, a bit.
And my camera will lose connection in a bit because battery will become empty. No plugs around the desk anymore. Filled all of them. So I would like to thank all our viewers, and if you wanna contact me or Josh, you can do that at the usual email of contact@tuxbase.com. Email definitely works. I get a ton of emails from automation about my website failing, but not show.tuxbase.com. Everything else, I don't know why. I need to fix it. I'm just too lazy to do it. We all know I've been talking about new infrastructure. That's where we're going, and we're gonna fix that using the new infrastructure. So, meanwhile, like, yeah, if for every few for like once a day for a few minutes Mastodon falls, I'm not gonna be angry about it. But long term, we need to fix that. So, if you wanna help me get to that new infrastructure quicker and maybe fund it so I can have even more infrastructure, you can donate and subscribe to us on patreon.com/ I believe it's NoTuxAllowed, or is it @NoTuxAllowed? No idea. I should probably look because it is something I should know.
Probably. Seems important.
But normally Josh keeps talking about this, so I don't have to remember it. So yeah, it's /NoTuxAllowed. Also, check out social media. Again, we have our own Mastodon instance. So I am I am tuxbase.com/bigpod, and Josh is 10LJ. So that, or if you're looking for from your own instance, it's bigpod@tuxbase.com. Me and Josh also have our own YouTube channels, which apparently both of us plan to upload to, but neither one succeeds to upload to. But we have a bunch of old videos you can check out, and a bunch of old live streams. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna stream this time because I don't think I will, despite wanting to. So we still are looking for people if you to host your own podcast on our infrastructure. It probably doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence based on the fact that my infrastructure keeps failing. But guess what? If I had somebody else depending on it, I probably would kick my ass much easier to actually go and fix it. I would have more reason to fix it. But where can they find you?
On my main channel, Brodie Robertson on YouTube. I do Linux videos there 6-ish days a week. Sometimes I stream as well. I have my own podcast, Tech Over Tea, that is on YouTube, that is on Spotify. There's an RSS feed. You'll find it anywhere you find podcasts. Yeah, I've got the gaming channel, that is Brodie on Games. I stream there twice a week, and some of the clips from those streams get uploaded to my React channel, Brodie Robertson Reacts. So there's 4 channels. I do lots of things. Yeah. Sometimes I stream on the main channel as well. I just haven't in a while. I'm lazy.
Okay. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.